She was born blind into a world that refused to see her. But when darkness threatened them all, it was her unseen light that saved them. In the heart of Africa's dense forests lay an ancient village, Endemo. The people there were deeply connected to the earth, bound by tradition, and lost in their beliefs. To them, light was a blessing, and anything they couldn't understand was considered cursed. In this village, a girl was born, dark-skinned, curly-haired, and with closed eyes. She was named Ao, which meant light. But fate had its own irony. She was born blind. The villagers said, "This girl is cursed. She cannot see. Her presence brings shadows. Since the day she was born, our crops have started to wither." Her mother pleaded, her father begged, but the poison of hatred runs deeper than tradition. And then, a few years later, her parents fell victim to a plague. Ao became an orphan. Children were told not to go near her. Women would avert their gaze in her presence. Men spat at her, saying, "Blind girl, why are you even alive?" But Ao remained silent. Not once did a complaint cross her lips. She quietly stayed in her mother's old hut, connected to a world deep within herself. People were suspicious too. How is she still alive? Who feeds her? What they didn't know was that the blind girl spoke to the stars at night and recognized paths in the morning by the sounds of the forest. For Ao, the difference between day and night was marked only by the sound of birds, the flow of the wind, and the warmth of sunlight. She sensed everything in ways that went beyond the sight of those who could see. She could tell which tree was nearby just by the scent carried in the air, and from the rhythm of raindrops, she could guess how long before the clouds would burst. But the villagers didn't just dislike her anymore. They had started to fear her. "This girl is blind, but how does she know everything? Whatever we say, she hears it from behind the doors. She's a witch. Some spirit must be with her." The pity people once felt for her turned into hatred. One night, a few young boys gathered outside her hut and quietly stole her utensils, her firewood, even her clay water pot. The next morning, when Ao reached out for the firewood, her hands came up empty. When she went to fetch water, her pot lay shattered. Yet there was no surprise or complaint on her face. She simply swept her hands across the ground, gathered an old broken stick, and walked toward the forest. Alone, barefoot, leaning on the splintered wood. The silence of the forest was more familiar to her than the noise of the village. She went to the place her mother used to take her, an old peepal tree, known by the villagers as the Tree of Spirits. Ao sat beneath it, folded her hands, and lifted her face toward the sky. "I know. Those who can't see me also can't see my pain. But if you're there, if someone truly listens, then show me the truth. My eyes may not work, but my heart is still whole." That night, when Ao fell asleep, she had a dream for the very first time. In the darkness, a light flashed, and a voice spoke into her heart. "You cannot see, but you can feel. And the one who feels can reach the truth. Within you is the sight that sees beyond dreams." When morning came, there was a strange peace on Ao's face, as if the night had cast a new light upon her heart. She listened closely to the soft sounds of the forest, the breeze rustling through the leaves, the flutter of bird wings, and the distant flow of a stream. She placed her hands on the ground and said, "You are all alive. I can feel you. If I can hear you, understand you, then maybe I can understand the pain of others too." From that day onward, Ao began to pray for the people, sincerely in solitude with no expectations. Those who threw stones at her, those who had watched her parents wither away. She sat through the nights, whispering silent prayers for them. And then one day, something happened that had never happened before. The richest farmer in the village, Bamu, suddenly fell gravely ill. His body stiffened, doctors were called, but no remedy worked. His wife, the same woman who once spat at Ao, now ran from door to door in desperation. That night, Bamu's mother, an elderly woman, found herself standing at the door of Ao's hut. Her voice trembled. "Child, I know we all wronged you, but something has happened to my son. He is dying. No one can save him." O rose silently. She picked up her stick, touched the door gently and said, "Take me to him." The whole village watched in awe. The blind girl reached Bamu's bedside and quietly sat down beside him. She held his hand, closed her eyes, and began whispering, maybe the old prayers her mother once recited, maybe the voices she now heard in her dreams. Moments later, Bamu's stiffness began to fade. His breathing steadied. People were stunned. How is this possible? No one could understand. But the one they called blind. That night, she became a ray of light. After that night, a deep silence fell over the village. Those who once called Ao cursed, blind, and useless, now watched her from afar, with a new gaze, a mix of fear and reverence reserved only for those who possess something more, something beyond this world. The next day a woman came, her child burning with fever for days. Then an old man whose fields had gone barren. Then a young girl who had been weeping for days and couldn't tell anyone why. Ineo. She listened to them all, said nothing. She simply raised her hands to the sky and closed her eyes in silent prayer. Within days, her hut became a quiet little shrine, but she had no gold, no throne, no crown. Only silence, prayer, and a pair of blind eyes behind which glowed a hidden light. But every light must one day be tested by darkness. One day, men from a neighboring village arrived. Loud voices, cruel laughter, armed with weapons. They were land grabbers, conquerors of the weak. Endemo is a weak village. These people are cowards. We'll take their cattle, their women. And anyone who stands in our way, we'll crush them. The villagers trembled. The same people who once saw Ao as a burden now gathered at her doorstep. "Ao, do something. Pray for us, you can save us." Ao made no speeches, no passionate declarations. She simply stepped outside her hut, raised her hands, and lifted her face to the sky. "My lord, cannot see but you can. These people, they are mine now. If this is a trial, then save us, or grant us patience." At that very moment, clouds gathered in the sky. A strong wind began to blow, and suddenly a powerful storm engulfed the entire area. 4 hours, rain, wind, and lightning surrounded the invaders, forcing them to flee. By morning they were gone, and Ao stood peacefully in her place, that same gentle smile on her face. She was no longer just the blind girl. She had become the light of the village. Now, the villagers didn't just honor Ao, they sought her guidance. Not a single day passed without someone at her doorstep. A mother bringing her sick child. A farmer asking for advice about his crops. A woman who longed for a child, coming only for a prayer. Ao prayed for them all, touching their faces, feeling their hearts. "You are in sorrow, but light is near. Be patient. There is strength hidden within you." People were astonished. How could a blind girl know the truths hidden deep in their hearts? But to her, none of it was surprising. She had suffered pain, embraced loneliness, and her tears had become her true sight. Then one day, years later, a caravan arrived. Among them was a young man. Handsome, strong, dressed in the clothes of the city. He asked the villagers upon arrival, "Is this the village where a blind girl lives?" The villagers nodded with pride. "She is not just blind, she is light." The young man came before Ao, knelt at her feet, and with tears in his eyes said, "You once saved my mother's life when I was a child. That day, my mother told me she had given food to a girl everyone had rejected. That girl was you. I was that child, and today I am a great physician in the city. Now it's my turn." O said nothing. She gently touched the boy's face, and recognized him. "Time has passed," she said softly, "but the color of prayers never fades." The young man rebuilt her hut, No longer just wood, but strong stone, with a roof layered in soft grass and blooming flowers. He gave her a new shelter. But Ao still preferred the old one, because it held the memory of her mother. And then, for the first time ever, the village celebrated the day of Ao. Everyone placed flowers over her eyes, kissed her hands, and sent their children to receive her blessings. That day, light didn't just fall from the sky. It descended from the hearts of people.